After the very disappointing HDR presentation in Suicide Squad, I decided to check out Diablo 4 again, because many people actually mentioned that the game received a lot of improvements in regards of the visual quality and also HDR. And spoiler alert, it does look much better. So I'm testing here the Xbox Series X version. I do not have access to any PlayStation 5 or PC version, but I'm very sure in regards of HDR, there shouldn't, and I like to repeat myself, there shouldn't be too much difference.
I need time to do that. No potions.
Back then, when I tested Diablo 4 for the very first time in regards of HDR, I was really disappointed, because especially the HDR Black Level floor was all over the place. In dungeons, or when you played the game in a very dark environment, then you were able to see actually just a grayish picture. It was not very pleasant to the eyes. And now when you start the game, it does look much better. According to my findings, there is no HDR Black Level raise in certain situations. So that means, and I like to make this very clear, that there is some sort of HDR Black Level raise if it is necessary, as you can see here on my example. When we stand outside where the snowstorm is, then the whole picture looks actually very washed out, which is, in my opinion, actually not a bad look. But as soon we actually walking into the castle or whatever this is, you can see we have now suddenly a perfect HDR Black Level floor. I'm not quite sure if you watched one of my older Diablo 4 HDR recommendation videos, but in one of those, or actually in all of those videos, I recommended to use the FTDA, the fine-tuned dark area settings on the LG OLED TVs. But after my latest findings, I do not recommend to use the FTDA settings at all. As you can see, the game has now a perfect HDR Black Level floor, and if you would use the FTDA settings, you would end up with a lot of Black Level crush. And now let's talk about the settings what we have in Diablo 4. So keep in mind, this game does not support the HDR system level calibration on the console or the PC. The HDR in-game settings what we have in Diablo 4 are pretty good, working very well. We have black point, brightness and white point setting. And the first setting I like to talk about is called black point, and I would strongly recommend do not touch, do not increase this setting, because what I found is that as soon you increase this value, you will lift the Black Level floor, and again, we don't like this. The next setting is called brightness setting, and this is the paper white setting in the game. The standard value setting is 250, and I found this is a very good value. If you like, you can increase or decrease it, because the impact in regards of the maximum peak brightness is actually very low. So feel free to change this value as you like it. And last but not least, we have the white point setting, and this setting is responsible for the maximum peak brightness in specular highlights. The white point setting is dependent from the maximum peak brightness capability of your TV screen or monitor. And if you like to play this game on an LG CX with a maximum peak brightness capability of around 800 nits, then set the slider to 800 nits. For the LG G2 with a maximum peak brightness capability of around 1000 nits, set the slider to 1000 nits. And if you have already an LG G4, then I'm sorry, I don't know the value yet. And if you like to hear my recommendation in regards of HGiG dynamic tone mapping on or Dolby Vision on the Xbox Series, then it is very very clear. Do not use dynamic tone mapping on, because in my opinion the game actually works pretty well with HGiG or in Dolby Vision on the Xbox. So all what you have to do is actually set the slider to your liking, because the game really is doing a great job with the HDR in-game settings. Okay, my friends, so that's it for this video, and I'm very happy actually that HDR in Diablo 4 is now much better, really good actually. And yeah, still I know that some people will still say, hey, the game looks washed out, but after my testing, after my analyzing, I can say, yeah, that's not the case all the time. So if it does look washed out, then this is done on purpose. Most of the time when you need it, the game has a perfect HDR Black Level floor and great specular highlights. That's exactly what we like to see in a game. Enjoy, play, and please subscribe. Thank you.